1, 2, 3, do it. Welcome in, everybody.
Oh, we're recording.
This is Kickin' It, and it's 2024. We're gonna do things a little bit differently. We're gonna take it seriously, as you can tell by the intensity of this intro. We're extremely dedicated. Grant Mahoney, how was your new year?
It was good, man. You weren't here. I thought I broke my nose getting ready for New Year's Eve.
Doing what?
As I was getting ready to shower. Not to give a visual to the fans, but I was dropping trow next to my bed as my dog was jumping up onto our bed that he's not supposed to be on.
Okay.
Conked heads, and I don't know if you can see I got a bruise.
That's a war wound, man.
I broke my nose in high school, so I thought I broke it again. And like I was looking in the mirror, I was like, oh shit. I was like, oh shit. My nose is flat. My wife's like, your nose was already flat. Like, your nose is not.
It's
like,
not any
it's
different.
really swollen. And I heard a crack, but I put my finger on my nose and I didn't see any blood. I was like, I think I'm actually fine.
Yeah, it's okay. I thought you were gonna say like you were dropping trout. You just went like down into the countertop. Like you just put like
No.
hands and pants down and just countertop.
Yeah, no,
It's totally cartoon style injury.
just, no, friendly fire from the doggo.
He's a good boy though.
He is. He felt bad. He went into his room. We call his kennel his room. He went into his room. He knew he did something bad.
Yeah, that hurts. That hurts your
know.
heart. You know when
And I heard
they
him-
like look at you and they're like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do this. I accidentally knocked something down. It's
Yeah.
noisy and the tail's tucked underneath.
Yeah, he was. And he let out a quick whimper and then just was gone. He could tell that he hurt me and I was upset, but
I mean, you shouldn't have hit him. Shouldn't have kicked
I
him.
was just shook.
Shouldn't have kicked him afterwards.
No, I did not kick him. I gave him nothing but smooches and cuddles.
No. Well, after that, thank you to Kelderman Manufacturing. I don't know how there's a better intro to Kelderman Manufacturing, kelderman.com. We are starting the new year, as always. If you are in the agriculture business or heavy machinery, or you just have a truck and you want to get cool stuff on it, kelderman.com. They're going to have a bunch of different stuff for you. We're going to talk a little bit about Iowa State's bowl game with Memphis, a little bit about college football kind of generally. And next week, we're going to start into college basketball a lot heavier with, hopefully, can we officially like confirm like that that we're going to have some super guest next week?
I'm reaching out to him.
Confirming.
Confirming tomorrow, Wednesday the 3rd. Fran is doing the Iowa State Houston game
On Tuesday.
So we're trying to get him Monday.
Yeah, so he's going to come into town on Monday night. The goal, and he already agreed to do it. We just have to, nail down logistics, make sure everything's going to be okay. But Fran Fraschilla hopefully will be on the show next week. That'll be just a special edition. We're just talking Iowa State basketball next week with Fran Fraschilla. So we're going to talk about football today, kind of looking back at the season, at the bowl game, in the future of what we need to do, and then talk other things generally about college football. So we spent a lot of time talking about the game itself and sort of like what the offseason checklist is on FART. So go listen to that. It came out yesterday. Yes, Aiden? So it came out yesterday. So if you want to kind of go more deep divey into that, but you didn't get the chance to express this on a scale of 0 to 10, with 10 being sucker punch to the balls in out of nowhere. How much BS was the fake Neil?
Who am I sucker punching in the balls?
No, as if you were to get sucker punched in the balls.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was a major Bush League call, and Iowa State had all the momentum at that point until they did that. I'd give it a solid 9-1. Like that's. I mean, you can't get much lower than that.
Say for actually punching someone in the balls. If they actually punch somebody in the balls. That would be
I mean, I would not have been surprised
Bush
if
League
if Dom Orange when they snapped and did he to the center,
right in the nuts.
Yeah, cup check.
No, and we talked about again. We spent a solid 10 minutes like ranting on this. At least I did. But to recap, for those that either don't want to go back and listen to it, which is fine, or for those that haven't, you get told by the referees to lay off on a kneel down,
and they'll say it during the play. Ease up, ease up, ease up.
Yeah, they'll literally they'll ask the center or the quarterback, "Are you taking a knee?" And if you answer yes or in the affirmative, then they will tell the defense then we're taking a knee, ease up. Because what they're trying to do is they're trying to prevent because honestly, if you're taking a knee, especially at the end of a game or at the end of a half, one of the common things that you can try and do is like have a defensive lineman waiting with their hand almost up to like try and slap it. So as soon as the quarter or the center like moves the ball, they can like dive and try and slap the ball out of the center's hand. Like when you're in desperation mode, there's 30 seconds left in the Super Bowl. You got no timeouts left. They're going to take a knee. Like, what else do I got to lose? That's the kind of stuff they're going to try and do. But especially at the end of a half, they're going to say, hey, ease up. Like the odds of that succeeding are next to nothing. And the odds of you hurting somebody by diving and trying to slap the ball or like trying to blow the center into the quarterback so the center fumbles the ball and whatever.
Did you ever, like, when you were in high school, did you ever like not play the game, but have anybody like tabletop or like someone's tabletop behind them and you push them over? Yeah, that's essentially what could happen, and people could get hurt.
And they're trying to, that's really the only way that you can make that happen. And so in a quarterback kneel, they tell the defense, lay off. Don't rush. Don't play defense because they're taking a knee. When that happens, there is sort of an unwritten rule that you actually effing do it. So when you don't, you're telling the defense to not play defense, and then you still get to play offense. So again, I understand that people are like, oh, do anything to win the game. But now you're a team next year playing Memphis, and you've got film on the fact that they're going to do a fake knee at the end of the half. Are you going to lay off when the referee tells you to lay off?
I would not.
I would not either. So now, every game next year, teams are going to light up Memphis's center, guards, and quarterback while they're taking a knee because they elected to run a fake knee in a bowl game. Which, again, fine. It worked. I get it. And this is not sour grapes. Because whatever. You lost the game. They were down 19-0. They were probably going to lose the game anyway. This is just that particular play was just super BS. Like just a super BS play.
I thought that, it was a major BS play, and I thought it would have lit a fire under Iowa State, and they would have come out and
I did too.
Did something, and then you come
not.
First play,
3-0.
Shocker, no yards to rush, 3-and-out, punt. Same shit, different toilet. Same toilet actually.
It was the same toilet.
Yeah,
it was all the toilets in Memphis.
Flush that toilet. Brian Ferentz.
But boy. Talk about randomly getting a shutout in your last two games. I mean, that is a way to go out. There's the duck. Keep the timestamp. There are children listening, Grant. Duck
okay. They'll learn that word eventually.
You guys see they didn't score in like the last, I want to say it was
2 games,
70 minutes of football or something like that was played.
That's impressive.
It was something crazy like that.
It's really last impressive. Score was probably a defensive or special teams score, for being honest.
It's really impressive. But anyway, the game itself. I mean, what were your thoughts on the game, and also like your thoughts on the game itself, and then also what your thoughts carrying out of the game into next year are?
I mean, I don't blame Memphis for chucking it deep. I think Iowa State was susceptible to that all year. I'm surprised more teams didn't do that.
Oklahoma State.
I'm surprised more teams didn't do that. Because Iowa State is so focused on stopping the run, which leaves them susceptible to deep balls. And when Verdon is out, and Tampa, it's the backup guys. No disrespect to them, they're not as good, as good as Verdon and Tampa. So I don't blame them. It looked like Memphis really wanted to win the game. They've never won a Liberty Bowl before. I think it's kind of BS that a home team, a team in your home stadium can play in that bowl game. Small grand scribe. I've got a later.
Baby gripes?
Yeah, I've got a grand scribe later on if you want to hear about it.
Baby gripes.
But they came out and, props to them. They had an interim defensive coordinator that switched up everything. This was essentially their audition, if you will, for, hey, if we go 11-1, 10-2, win the AAC next year, we can compete with Power 5 teams, put us in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. They said that's their goal next year, is to get to the playoffs, because one G5 team
is guaranteed to be
there.
Yeah.
So I think that's how they approached the game, was we're going to do everything we can to beat Iowa State. Yeah, it's Iowa State's a Power 5 team, and before the year, fans might have thought Iowa State shouldn't have been there, just because lost five starters, all the freshmen, all the new coaches, whatever else it might be, but they were playing good ball, and Big 12 team beat them.
Does the game change your expectation for next year?
No.
Yeah. Why do you say that with such certainty?
Because Iowa State returns 20 starters, first and foremost. This year was the first year with a new offensive coordinator, who is also the new quarterback coach, a new running back coach, a new offensive lineman, which we'll talk about, offensive lineman's coach, which we'll talk about the O-line in a minute. We also had a new D-back coach and special teams coach. So there's a lot of strength coach. There's a lot of first year coaches there that, guys are still kind of adjusting, still kind of getting used to it. And next year, I just feel like I said it from like podcast one
You
or
did.
two.
What was your prediction for this year?
I said 6-6 or 7-5.
Man, that's true. And the next year is 10-2.
Next year, 7-2.
That's you called it. I'm excited to see. I mean, your first get week 1 or year 1 down. Year 2, are we going to be there? I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully.
You know what's also funny? Like I should buy a Powerball or lottery ticket. One of my kind of side tangent, but one of my old math teachers in high school, who's also our basketball coach, like AAU coach growing up, coached us through eighth grade, whatever.
Was he a Bohannon?
No, his last name was Gass.
Okay.
Yep. Gass. Larry Gass, great guy. Stop that. He was a math teacher, so he's all about statistics and like A, B, C, D. Give me your results. And so he would ask questions like, versus Michigan. He put up a post that said, "How many points will Iowa score?" 0 to 3, 3 to 7, whatever it was. And then it was like 0. And I was the only person of like 40 people put 0. He goes, "I wonder why he put 0." They scored 0.
It's because you're right.
He did the same thing for the Tennessee game. What's the outcome going to be? Is Iowa going to win by 7 or less, 7 or more? Tennessee by 7 or less, 7 or more? I was the only person that said 7 or more. He was like, "I wonder why."
That's because you're right.
Yeah, because
Their offense is really bad.
they stink. Okay, that's enough talk about Iowa.
The other thing that kind of was interesting is when you're looking at the game itself. I think there was a lot of guys that were rotating in that normally wouldn't exist, like wouldn't be playing just because of whether it's injuries, and you got to see like guys like Ben Ngoyi get some run.
Bouncy Benny, man, he's our next NFL guy.
I mean, there's a lot of NFL guys that are like already.
He's one of the NFL guys.
Yeah. Like there's a lot of NFL guys that are already on the roster.
He is one of the NFL guys waiting in the wing who has not gotten his chance to shine it. And he will.
Better. Yeah, that's better qualification. So when you're getting to look at that, like I think that's how watching a bowl game, you of course want to win because duh, and you also want to see the team not come out flat because duh, and they kind of did both. They came out flat and they lost, which is not fun. But looking at the rest of what was going on and saying, what are the pieces that we normally haven't got to see? Well, that's kind of cool. And then sort of taking stock of who you're going to have to replace. And one of those people that you're going to have to replace is Chase Contreras. We had a fan write in a question. Aiden, what was the fan question?
From known superfan Connor Ferguson, who was the best kicker in Iowa State history, and where does Chase Contreras rank?
First is Grant Mahoney.
Correct.
That's false.
Naturally.
That's false.
Based on 57-yard field goals, Grant Mahoney is number 1.
Dude's out here just dropping dong on 57 yarders. So Chase Contreras for the year, he was 21 of 26, and I don't think those numbers accurately reflect just how good he is.
Because I think 3 or 4 of those were bad snaps.
Correct.
Bad snaps or bad holds.
Correct. I would go back and look at them and bad snap where it's high, missed spots. It's a 3-person operation. Only one person's getting the stats. I would say that only one for sure, maybe 2. I would put on Contreras for missing.
Mm-hmm.
But the dude's got unlimited range. I'm telling you, I think he's going to play on Sundays. His form is so consistent, and he's got a big leg. The dude would miss a kick, come back and make it. That's huge to have that mental toughness as a kicker. Where does he rank though? Tough question because it's a small sample size.
I played with him, but Cole Netton his first like a freshman sophomore year, like he was a little spotty. But like by the time he got to be a junior senior year, I think he only missed 1 kick. He was like 27 for 28 or something like that his senior year. I mean it feels like Cole
should be in there.
The
only caveat is that Cole did not have a strong
a huge howitzer leg.
Yeah, I'm not sure Cole would have been good from 56 like Contreras had.
But consistently,
good. Oh yeah. Let me look it up real quick here. Cole. Yeah. When I think of accuracy, I think Cole Netton. But as far as like just overall,
and admittedly, like what's kind of hard is that there's not a lot of like excellent back. Like there's no like NFL. Like Morton Anderson didn't go to Iowa State, so to me it feels like Culbertson and Tony Yelk are in like as far as like the previous generation of kickers, which is like before we got there, and then you have to think that Cole Netton plus Contreras, and then I mean Andrew Mevis.
Andrew
sneaky
Mevis, I put him in that
in
conversation.
single season. So
Mevis had like he might be the most talented leg to ever come through Iowa State.
because he was the punter,
If he was-
kickoff guy, and
Yes.
field goals.
If he was a 4-year guy, you know, his jersey in the rafters.
Mevis would be, you would hang his jersey in the metaphorical rafters. Yeah.
But I feel like Contreras has got to be like top 3 to 5, like minimum.
For sure.
Minimum top 3 to 5, just because the consistency. I mean, how many times, especially with the young offense, you just talk about the importance of having a really solid kicker. See, you have a young offense, and you could tell Rocco, hey, you get it inside the 35-yard line, we got points. We're good. You get it to 35, we're good. Don't take a chance. Don't feel like you have to force anything. And it's not like you like explicitly tell them that, but especially like last year, you have, I mean, no offense to, again, Jace Gilbert, but you missed 3 in a row from like 37 yards or 45 yards or whatever it is. And you then as an offense start to feel like you can't turn it over to the kicker. You've got to, this 3rd and 8, I have to convert it. I can't throw this out of bounds. I can't, force the ball into pressure because I got to convert this because we're going to miss and we're going to miss out on points on this next down. But having a guy who's so reliable from really, 37, 38 yard line, which would be what, a 55-yard kick. If you get the 38-yard line, you got points. It's more or less the attitude you can have, which made that young offense substantially more comfortable, which flipped them from being the worst red zone team in the Big 12 to being the best red zone team in the Big 12. They were 100% of scoring in Big 12 play from being in the red zone.
That also allows your offense to take more shots and play a little more aggressively, knowing that, if we're on the 32-yard line here and it's
You can chuck one up to Higgins.
Yeah, it's 3rd and 7. Let's maybe go for one, or maybe not try to run just a 7-yard route. Let's try them here. Depending on obviously the circumstance of the game. If they're down 20, you probably don't want to do that. But yeah, I think that gives the vote of confidence. As far as Andrew Mevis though, his stats are way more impressive than I thought. So he was at Iowa State. He was 20 of 23. His only 3 misses. He was 8 of 11 from 40 to 49. He attempted 13 kicks from 40 yards or further. He was 2 for 2 from 50 plus, long of 54. Perfect on extra points. I would put Mevis. Yeah, I would put Mevis as statistically. I would have if he would have been here for 4 years. I think Mevis would have been the best kicker that Iowa State's had. His 1 year is maybe the most impressive kick. Most impressive.
Again, and also punted and also did kickoffs.
Yes, which that is. So for those who don't know, punting and kicking are 2 different leg motions. So kicking is
it's like putting and driving in golf.
Yeah,
like it's
putting
that different.
Putting you want to keep your arms basically straight. Whereas driver, you're just you're
trying to rotate a whole bunch. Yeah.
And so punting is more of a straight line motion where you're just coming straight up and down. Whereas kicking, I always thought of when you're kicking it, you want to kind of swing your leg up and over that left upright if you're a right-footed kicker, left-footed kicker, up and over the right upright. So it's different kicks. It's also you're hitting the ball in different parts of your foot. As a punt, you're hitting on the top of your foot, almost on the outside. A field goal, you're hitting it like a soccer pass, kind of on the inside. You got a big bone on the kind of inside top part of your foot. And then for a kickoff, you're going to roll your foot over and hit more on the top part of your foot and get your quad more involved. So 3 different kicking motions, 3 different spots on your foot you're going to hit. Mevis was just an absolute stud at all of them too. So thank you for the question.
Is it Connor?
Super fan Conor Ferguson, who allegedly, when he was like 12 years old, would just talk mad shit about me when I was out there. So
honestly, that wouldn't surprise me.
I've forgiven him. Some dude sent me a Facebook message one time. I remember his name is Mike Sesker. So if you're listening, Mike, people don't forget. I hope someone pisses in your Cheerios. That's what he said to me.
That's rude.
Well, I responded back to him.
Were you still on the team?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was last week. That was just some guy just doesn't like you.
Yeah. I took the last spot at Quick Trip. I couldn't fill my gas. No. He said to me, and I said, joke's on you, bitch. I don't eat Cheerios.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Get your weight up, bitch. Can I do my Grant Scripes?
Yeah, you can absolutely do Grant Scripes because there's not a lot of juice to squeeze off that game. The Memphis game.
I can talk. I mean, I got notes, man. I got
That's so many notes.
Yeah, I take notes while I'm watching the game.
Grant Scripes.
Grant Scripes. So, my wife and I, we bought a new house a few months ago, and beautiful home. We're just updating some things on it. We replaced a window over the weekend, and we were told that the contractors would be there between 8 and 10 a.m. on Friday morning. I was like, okay, great. I was like, I got time to get in the shower, get ready. Guess what time they show up?
7 o'clock.
7:30. 7:30. That's not between 8:30 or 8 and 10. But my main gripe is that window is okay. A 2-hour window is fine.
Okay.
My main gripe is when, like, if you're getting internet installed or whatever, just moving into the home, whatever it might be, and they're like, oh, you've got a window from 8 to 5, they're going to be there, and they don't call you like a half hour before.
And then you have to be there. And
You have to be.
If you're not there, then they reschedule.
And if you don't work from home, like, what are you supposed to do? Take the day off and just twiddle your thumbs?
Yes.
So that's my gripe is contractors or that people in that type of service says, oh, be there between 8 and 5, and then we don't call you a half hour before. Because if you give them a half hour call before, you could probably leave wherever if you work in the metro, you can probably leave and get home in a half hour.
What if there's somebody that's listening to this right now who is on their way to a call, who it's not their responsibility, it's like the office's responsibility to make the call, and they're gonna get the flip side of Grant's gripes, where it's not their bad. What do you have to say about that person? Huh? Talking trash about the hardworking laborers?
Make the call anyways. You got a phone.
The blue-collared Americans.
The blue-collar Americans.
That's right.
You hate America? You kicked your dog today.
I did not kick my dog.
You asshole. Okay, what else do you got on the Memphis game? Because I think that's, to me, I don't know. It was not great, but it's never as good as it seems. It's never as bad as it seems. They ran the ball like ass, but Memphis sold out to stop the run, so Rocco could throw for 450 yards. So if you're gonna let someone throw for 450 yards, like you can't be all that mad when you run for 0 yards if you throw for 450 yards versus if they threw for 200 and ran for 0, that becomes a problem. Or if they're not able to move the ball, or there's clearly an attempt that they just keep trying to run it regardless. But I think probably in the second half, they had less than half a dozen, maybe 8 rushing attempts, and they just threw the ball the rest of the time. So like the running game, not ideal, but like not to make excuses for everybody, but it's a new scheme because a new defensive coordinator, whatever. They hadn't seen it. The attention of the defense was to play up as fast as they possibly could. Cut off any short passes, cut off the run. Play in the first 7 yards of the field. And if you can play in the first 7 yards of the field, you stop the offense. It did for the first 3 or 4 drives because Iowa State was trying to run RPOs, quick game, get the ball to Bramer, get the ball to Jalen Knoll. Like you're trying to get it out quickly, run the ball. And then pretty soon they realize oh, this is what Memphis is trying to do. They're trying to play inside of 7 yards. All right, well, let's just throw it behind that. And then they did again and again and again and again. Had they known that ahead of time, then Memphis would have had to get out of that sooner. So that's where, new coach, new scheme, it sounds like an excuse. Yes, you need to be able to recognize that as soon as possible. And it would be nice if you didn't get down 19-0 before you did that. But they kind of did recognize that they just ran out of time by the time they ended up recovering.
I think, and this is just me spitballing here, I think that they, it's an interim defensive coordinator. I think that they put in a new playbook that was just solely around, this may be stupid to say, just solely around stopping us. And they're going to scrap that. And
that wouldn't be surprising at all.
Because Jeff Myers played for Campbell for 4 years, coached under him for 4 or 5 years. He knows his philosophy. So I'm sure Campbell's like, okay, they're going to want, or Myers is like, okay, they're going to want to, RPO, they're going to do pop, whatever it might be. I'm sure Myers is like, this is a philosophy that Campbell has. So if we can stop this, then okay. And then, yeah, maybe they saw that, Iowa State saw that, basically scrap what we have and just play backyard football. And I guess I had a question for you. If you this is me. I haven't played video games in a long time, but when I would play video games, if I had a guy that was just like a burner and that was just absolutely torching people, I would go to him all game. Can't stop him. I'm gonna go to it. They couldn't stop Higgins. He had 215 yards. Why not continue to go after him?
We just ran out of time. I mean, at a certain point, you start saying, okay, somebody else has to beat us, which they did. And also then they're getting pressure on the quarterback. You're not able to get at some point, you also only have a certain number of routes that he can run before they start sitting on all those routes. Somebody else has to make a difference in the play, unless the team is so stubborn. Like CeeDee Lamb, when they play the Lions ended up playing a lot of man coverage, a lot. And even when he torched them, they kept playing man coverage. Well, if you're going to keep playing man coverage, there's an unlimited amount of routes that you can run, but Memphis wasn't playing man. They were playing different zones. So you can only hit that so many times before they go, let's take away this hook curl area and let's make sure he doesn't throw it here. And then you got to find somewhere else to go. So I don't know. They started getting the tight ends involved, started getting other receivers involved. So I don't know. Yes, I'd like to go to Higgins, but I think they just ran out They just ran out of time.
Rocco's out there cooking though, man.
Yeah. It's going to be exciting to see what they do next year. And again, we talked about it on Fart, but like the things that I would like to see the offense do is fit the run game to the running backs and the offensive line together. So like, what does the offensive line do really well? What do the running backs do really well? Make sure that we can match those two things. But if Sama and Hansen read zone better and offensive line blocks gap scheme better or blocks outside zone better, well, let's start doing that and just do the things that make those two things match. And then the second thing with the offense is make sure that you can communicate and you can change pace better than what they did this year, where they only could go at the one pace that they were in. They couldn't go.
You mean like hurry up and stuff?
Hurry up. They couldn't do hurry up and then grind tempo. They're, run it off the clock because they couldn't run the ball as effectively as they wanted to. They couldn't slow the game down. It was just at the pace. Like they had one gear and that was the only thing they could operate in. So getting up into up tempo or being able to slow down and shift gears into grind tempo, where you get the ball back with 4:37 left on the clock and then just sit on it the entire game. Like that wasn't a strength of theirs, but that comes back to running the ball. But like those two things of being able to match the running game to the running backs and the offensive line and be able to change tempo. Like those are the things that I want to see with the offense. But like I'm more curious than I am nervous this offseason because you trust Rocco to do a good job. You trust the coaching staff to make sure you develop them. You trust Shieldhouse to learn from his first season.
That's what I was going to say too.
And you then trust the skill positions. Like this is as good of a skill position group as Iowa State has probably ever had. I mean, you think like Allen, Hakeem, and David Montgomery, like those three, and then obviously Charlie and Chase and Sainer. Like this is a pretty damn good group. This group is similar to that. I don't know if they have, Sama might be a guy by the time he's done, might be one of those dudes. But Higgins is a pro. I think Jalen Noel's a pro. I think Bramer's a pro. I think Sama's a pro. Who knows about Hansen by the time he's done? But like Rocco is going to probably, if he continues to progress, we'll get a shot somewhere. So like this offense is going to have a chance to be really, really good. So I'm more curious as to how they develop, not necessarily nervous as to what they develop into.
I think too that we saw early on, Shieldhouse and Campbell kind of held the reins back on Rocco because they weren't really sure what they were getting, to be honest. When the lights come on, some guys really shine and some guys kind of shy away from it. And so as the years went on, they saw this dude can ball. And so I think that one full year of Rocco starting in the off season, of Rocco growing and maturing, I think that I hope that things kind of open up next year and they really just let him sling it around, let him, call audibles to the line if he needs to. We saw it a couple times as the season went on that he kept the ball for RPOs. I think early on in the season, Rocco could have kept some more of them. Mm-hmm. One thing I would say though, is that not trying to dog him, I don't think anybody on the offensive line, I don't think anybody's job is safe. I think that we've got some young guys coming in. I hope they bring in some guys in the portal and they get in the weight room and just really master the craft because that has been Iowa State's Achilles heel for a long time. I think Clanton is a really good coach, so I think he's going to get that group right. But I think some changes need to be made there.
Well, I don't know if it's necessarily changes need to be. And changes
improvements.
Changes could also be like you get better. Like yes. Boniface.
Hufford coming back is big.
Hufford coming back, and Boniface squats a little bit more. Like it could.
I thought we were calling him Jim.
Jimmy is going to squat a little. Changes can be made in whatever mechanism, but I think, especially going into this next Big 12, there's not really another. There's no units on, no defensive groups that really make you super nervous. Like Texas. So in the Texas-Washington game, which I'm the only one that actually ended up watching that Texas-Washington game between the three of us.
I watched most of it.
That's almost good enough.
I watched the second half of the first half.
The second quarter?
I watched basically, second quarter.
But anyway, so Texas playing Washington. Texas lost. Close game. But a team like Washington's a really bad matchup for them because they just throw it everywhere. They didn't even really care to run the ball. And Texas is really good at stopping the run because they have the best 4 defensive tackles in the conference. Their starters and their backups. Best defensive tackles in the conference. There's no team like that now that Texas is leaving. And Oklahoma, if they were to leave, I think if you were to play next year's Oklahoma team now, I think Iowa State wins that.
Everyone left.
I don't want to say comfortable, but like they win that game. So like it's not, especially some of the Texas guys are going to the NFL. So like it's not that you would lose them, but a matchup like Texas is bad for Iowa State running the ball because they are so good at stopping the run. there's no teams like that. Now that Texas and Oklahoma are gone, you add the the West Coast schools, the Mountain West schools. Arizona's going to be their offense is fun. Like I watched the Oklahoma Arizona bowl game, and most of Arizona's guys played. That offense is fun. I mean, they're going to be a tough team to beat. Colorado, who knows what they're going to be because their whole team's
trash.
Their whole team's turned over. Like it's another batch of transfers in. Arizona State, I think it's hit or miss, and it's pretty average. Utah is going to be physical, but then you look at the existing Big 12 schools. There's nobody that's like, we can't move, we can't run the ball physically against these guys like Texas has. So, what's stopping Iowa State from being a top 3 to 5 offense in the league next year, based on what they have coming back if they're able to run the ball?
Do you remember when Iowa State when we played? Were you on the team when we played Utah? We were talking about this.
Killed.
We already talked about this.
Got killed.
And they were doing pull-ups on the crossbars.
No.
Yeah, they were doing pull-ups on the crossbars, and then they like wonkied one of them, and then like they had us. Oh, get your ladder out! You guys crossbars are uneven now. Like you guys are doing pull-ups on them. So I get out there and do the ladders. Like, well, you shifted it too much now. Like maybe you guys shouldn't be doing freaking pull-ups on the crossbars, you dorks. I was just looking at Iowa State's schedule quick. I don't think anything's stopping, to answer your question, I don't think anything's stopping Iowa State from contending because even if next year's, if Texas and Oklahoma were in the conference next year, I'm not scared of either one of them.
Right.
They both
look good teams.
Look good this year. Yeah. I mean, obviously prestigious, but like Iowa State plays, as far as conference games next year, Utah, Houston, Kansas, West Virginia. Those are all away games.
Houston's going to be better because they've got
who they hired?
Willie Fritz from Tulane. So
nice.
Houston's going to be better. So sorry, slow that one down.
Yep, Utah,
going to be good. Always going to be good, and that's on the road.
Yes,
that's going to be a tough game.
I want to go to that game. I heard Salt Lake City's beautiful.
Salt Lake City's beautiful, but Kyler Whittingham, like that is a physical. That game is a.
They're in Iowa, aren't they?
Huh?
They're an Iowa type team.
Not.
I guess they've trended towards being an Iowa team. They're not quite there yet.
Their offense is better.
I guess it'll be better with Cam Rising back too.
Yeah, so Cam Rising tore his ACL at the end of last year and didn't start playing until like week 6 this year, and then he got hurt again, like not with an ACL, but like sprained an ankle or something like that, and he missed the back, 3 or 4 games. So he only played for like 4 games. But Cam Rising is like a dude. He's a really good quarterback. Utah's going to be a tough game, but that's going to be a rock fight. Like it is a fist fight. You're going to have to. I mean, that is going to be a Hoppin Stadium fun game. But can still win. Can win that game.
Hopefully they're more like BYU. At Houston.
Probably. I mean, again, they're going to be better because Willie Fritz is a really good coach. Depending on what time of year that's going to be potentially really hot, but it's played in Texas before. Can win.
I put it in air quotes, at Kansas. I think the game will be at Arrowhead.
Oh, cool. An Arrowhead game?
I believe so because I think
because Kansas doesn't have a finished stadium.
Oh,
or they won't.
Got it. Okay.
So bad memories, but cool to play in Arrowhead.
Yeah, cool to play in Arrowhead. I did once, and I was player of the game that week.
Nice.
Offensive player. Yeah. Anyway,
played there twice. I played Kansas State twice there. I never played against Kansas State at home. I played against Kansas State away, Arrowhead away.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah. Hate Kansas State.
Yeah. Anyway, but Kansas is going to be Kansas next year. I mean, it's basically going to be the same team.
But they had a new offensive coordinator.
Yeah, but they still have Lance Leipold. I mean, Kotelnicki's gone, and he's at Penn State now. And
they've got Daniels.
They've still got
Neal.
Daniels. They've still got Devin Neal still there. As Highshaw, I think he's probably coming back. Their other running back. I mean, they're going to have guys, and their wide receivers are big physical dudes. I mean, Kansas is going to be basically the same team this year as next year. So good win, but tough.
West Virginia, tough place to play.
Who knows? They're this year they were a lot better. They're going to lose some guys, but they have a quarterback who's probably the best running quarterback in the league. Going to be dual threat guy again. Can win.
And then at home, Iowa State plays Texas Tech, which I think they're rising,
but can win. Like there's nothing that Texas Tech is going to scare you with.
Baylor trended in the wrong direction this year, but they just got the Toledo quarterback transfer, who I think was a really good transfer.
Rourke?
No, that's Ohio.
Ohio.
Can't think of his name.
But can win.
Yep. It's at home. Kansas State
can win. I mean, the Avery Johnson kid. I think this is going to be a little bit for those that are tend to be more nervous of like, oh, this kid's pretty good. Until you get a good enough amount of film, a quarterback that can run is going to make things look a lot easier than they actually are. So for like the first bowl game, he was all over the place. I mean, they won that game because of him. First 2 or 3 games next year, he's going to rip whoever they play apart. I don't care who it is. He's going to rip them apart. Game 4, 5, 6. By the time you get to game 4, 5, 6, we got film on you. We know what you like. We know what you don't like to do. We know
Your tendencies.
where you like to scramble. We know when you like to scramble. We know what makes you like to scramble. We know where you like to throw it. So you end up then, he's going to have a pretty substantial regression from that at some point between game 4 and 6. He's going to have a pretty substantial regression. And then the great ones get out of that regression and they go back to dominating because they then adjust to the adjustments that someone else is making. So it depends on where you're going to catch him. I think he's going to end up being a fine quarterback, but next year is probably going to be a little bit up and down for him. But again, for Iowa State's purposes, can win.
I think they lost quite a few people too. Kansas State
And they're
did.
transferring out a lot.
Yep.
But it's climbing and
Yep.
hell of a coach.
Yep. And then Cincinnati at home.
I don't think
Booty
he-
cheeks. We're
I
gonna
don't
clap that
know.
ass, bro.
How does Satterfield? I mean, one, he shouldn't have got the job in the first place when they got rid of Fickle. I don't know who they could have gotten or who they could have kept. Maybe his like offensive coordinator, but boy, Satterfield is not the right fit. I mean, he was really sitting at Louisville. He was almost going to get fired before taking the Cincinnati job. So I don't think Cincinnati's going to be any better. They might be the bottom of the conference next year.
Gene Chiswick them, huh?
Yeah, oh yeah. He might be the bottom. I think Cincinnati might be the bottom of the conference next year.
Go and get that ass clapped. And then we play UCF at home, hopefully in December.
UCF.
They just got Arkansas's quarterback, who is an absolute load.
And is John Reese Plumlee? Is he graduated?
He must be gone because Arkansas's quarterbacks are now.
Yeah, he's definitely not there. I don't know where.
Transferring somewhere else. But I mean, UCF, Gus Malzahn's a good coach. I mean, the thing with the Big 12 next year, like going through that schedule, there's a whole lot of teams that are somewhere between a B and an A minus. A whole lot of them.
Well, then you've got Iowa that.
Iowa State or Iowa generally.
I'm
you're
saying-
talking about on the schedule.
Yeah, Iowa that who knows what offensive corner they're going to bring in, but they're
I would bet
probably run kind of a similar scheme.
My guess is it's going to be Paul Christ.
Yeah.
Just because he coached with Kirk for forever. It's part of the same offensive scheme. He had a
Joe Philbin is also named some toss around.
who is that former Miami Dolphins coach?
Yeah, and he's an offensive analyst or something for Ohio State right now.
Yeah, so my guess is it's going to be Paul Christ. And it's going to be more or less the same offense. But could they be better? Like, is Luke Lachey going to come back? And if Luke Lachey comes back, they have talented running backs.
I think he's already said he is.
Seth Anderson, I think, is their wide receiver, number 3. Or whoever.
3 is Caleb Brown.
Caleb Brown.
Yeah.
Dude can play.
Ohio State kid.
Dude can play. So you have...
How do we know? He didn't get any balls past him this year.
when
Well,
he did.
He had a couple against Tennessee and dropped them both.
Yeah.
Right in
But
the
Case of the
numbers.
dropsies, huh?
Anyway, so like Iowa could be really good next year. Like, but they also could be the same freaking team, and they're going to lose Cooper DeJean. They're going to lose a couple of other guys to the NFL. So like, who knows what Iowa's going to be? So like every team,
It'll be in Iowa City too, which is a tough place to play.
but basically every team that Iowa State's going to play, like for the most part, at least on paper going into it, is going to be between like a B and an A minus, which it to me bodes well for Iowa State. If you can fix the things that you need to fix, as far as getting your run game consistent, being able to change tempo on offense, and then defensively get some pressure on the quarterback, being able to do that somehow, whether that's changing a scheme a little bit, whether that's getting guys developing, whoever, Ike Eziagu or Trent Jones or something like that, or, Anyeta, maybe one of those guys gets developed a little bit, and then get some depth at safety so that you can rotate guys out or you can withstand injuries a little bit better. If you do that, who are you scared of on this schedule? You have to respect everybody, because anyone on there outside of maybe Cincinnati and maybe Houston, depending on how Willie Fritz gets the team going, are teams that you're like, could win this game, could lose this game. And so if you button up your P's and Q's, you're going to be fine. So like going into the season, you return 20 out of 22 starters, 19 out of 22, depending on how you consider it. So it's Easton Dean, Gary Vaughn, and TJ Tampa are really the 3 guys that you're going to lose. So depending on if you count who as a starter. So you return most of your starters, most of your skill guys, most of your 2D pretty much everywhere. So like this team's going to be good. It's going to be fun to see in the offseason what happens and how much better they get.
The other 2 games on Iowa State's schedule, they open with North Dakota. I don't know anything about them.
They're a good FCS team.
And then Arkansas State. I think Iowa State has a home and home with Arkansas State.
I think they go to Arkansas State, not next year, but the year after that.
Yeah, it's kind of silly. But Arkansas State had
is that in southern Arkansas?
McIlvain.
Or like northern Arkansas, I mean? If Arkansas State's in northern Arkansas, that'd be pretty country.
I'm not sure where it's at. They McIlvain transferred there, the guy from UNI.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
right?
Is he still there? I mean, the kid's been playing for like 8 years.
Or am I thinking of I'm thinking Jackson Daly, the kid from Southeast Polk.
Oh, Sally's Polk kid.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go Rams, right?
Yeah, go Rams. Always.
So that'd be kind of cool seeing him. Do you want to talk about basketball at all?
We can. I haven't really watched any of like kind of the get me over games. Hassan Ward came back. That's cool.
He looked good too, man.
He's bouncy. He's I think your best defensive post. He's as far as like offense, he's going to be probably mostly like your jump ball guy. Like you're going to be able to get him a dunk or anything like quick around the rim. You're going to score 8 points a game, but he's going to have like 3 blocks, 2 steals, and then be able to, get 7 or 8 rebounds or something like that. Like real just make life hard on the defensive end for the opposing post. And I'm excited to see because is the next game the Houston game?
No, the next game is at Oklahoma.
At Oklahoma, when is that?
Saturday.
Okay.
Iowa State's projected to right now in the ESPN, the matchup predictor is giving Iowa State a 57.5%, which this doesn't really mean much, percent chance to win. I don't really know what to think of this team.
Oklahoma or Iowa State?
Both. I think Oklahoma is vastly overrated. They haven't played anybody. The only team they played is North Carolina, and they got
smoked.
Yeah. I think it's a good chance for Iowa State to knock them off.
Mm-hmm.
But I could also see Iowa State. I think it'll be a close game regardless, but I'm not convinced Oklahoma's good, but I'm also not convinced Iowa State is 4th in the net or whatever it is because they've just been crushing these teams, in the
well, and I think the net and the ratings carry over from last year too, like a little bit, and so they were a tournament team, so you're going to get a bump up. No, I think the interesting part about the Big 12 is because it's such a freaking fist fight every single week. Like you're not going to know who's good until maybe 6 or 8 games into the Big 12 because you're going to have to fist fight each other, and who keeps surviving these fist fights, that's going to be the team. Like you look at the top, how many teams are ranked in the top 25? 6?
I mean, just to open the schedule, Iowa State opens with number 11 Oklahoma, and then number 3 Houston, and then they got number 12 BYU. 2 games after that, number 2 Kansas, number 18 Baylor, number 20 Texas, who I think point guard just tore his ACL, not Tyrese Hunter.
Ooh.
And then Houston again, Oklahoma, and then BYU again. So
there was at least 5 teams ranked with
5 or 6,
TCU and Iowa State receiving votes. So you have like of the top 25, let's call it top 30 when you include in votes. 7 to 8 of them are Big 12 teams.
Well, I don't think that these obviously aren't finalized because you look at like TCU, Iowa State and TCU are both 11-2.
Mm-hmm.
Kansas State's 9-3. So like both of those, all those teams could be ranked. Cincinnati's 11-2. Texas Tech 11-2. So I mean, a lot of teams in the Big 12, UCF 9-3. A lot of teams in the Big 12 are like right on the cusp.
Well, by this time next week, we would have seen him play a Big 12 game, and hopefully talking to Fran for Chilla.
Yeah,
Not McCaffrey, the fun Fran.
No, I don't want to talk to Fran McCaffrey. Who gives a shit what he says?
Only thing I was going to say before we get going. So Goldfinch Athletics, we promoted it last kind of at the end of last year. We have our DMPS program going, which starts on January 24th. We've already got 23 signups for the junior high program and 13 signups for the elementary program, which is, again, for those that aren't sure, it's free for you, and we are able to pay our staff to actually get there. It's through Des Moines Public Schools Community Education, able to do our speed and acceleration training to help junior high kids both have fun with training, but also learn how to lift before they get to school. And then the elementary school kids just have a good relationship with exercise, so they actually want to do it and continue to want to do it and get a little bit better, a little bit faster. So that, if you wanted to sign up for that, it's dmschools.org, and then go to community education, find anything Goldfinch Athletics. So Goldfinch Speed Rookies, or Goldfinch Speed Junior High. So any one of those, if you just type in Goldfinch or you just look for Goldfinch, you'll find it. So Des Moines Public Schools signups are valid through January 23rd, but don't wait, because guarantee yourself a spot. But
it's
anyway,
fill up.
It's going to fill up. It's going to be super, super fun. So anyway, we got 23 signups for the junior high, 13 signups for the elementary schools, hoping to fill that up a little bit more because it's free for you and it's high quality stuff. Same stuff that's good enough for Alan Lazard and Riley Moss. Good enough for your kids.
I wish I had that growing up. I'm sure we did, but I didn't know what a dumbbell or a barbell was growing up. I get to Iowa State.
Never tell.
Yeah, get to Iowa State and weighing 142 pounds, and I was like, so.
Okay, well, thanks everybody. We'll be back next week with, like I said, hopefully, still got to lock it in. We got to get the logistics down, but Fran Fraschilla.
Yeah. So thanks again for all the loyal listeners who are still listening. And as always, remember, adopt, do not shop.